Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Today I decided that I'm going to share with you Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons, Relaxed Homeschool Style. Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons is one of the most popular reading curriculums there are. And with good reason. It really is effective. I have now used it with 4 of my children, and one of my children is reading very, very well that used it. The second one, she's about halfway through and is already, actually she's not even halfway through, but she's already reading very well. And then I've got 2 younger ones who are just in the beginning of it, and it's really, really having an impact on them. This is one of those books, however, that a lot of people either love or they hate. And the reason that people love it is because it really does work. Now, the reason that a lot of people don't like it is because it can get to be a little tedious, it can be a little dry, and today I'm going to share with you what we do in our relaxed homeschool to keep it effective and not completely boring. So, as you can see from my copy of Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons, you know, it's a mess. It's dog-eared, it's got wrinkled pages, but in our house, books that look like this, these are the books that have stood the test of time and that I have used with multiple children because they have really worked. As compared with, for example, we've had this for about 3 years now, and as you can see, it pretty much looks brand new because it's never going to be used because we found that the rest of them were not working. So I just want you to keep that in mind. A lot of times when you see me talking about different textbooks or workbooks in my reviews, you'll see that they are a mess, but that's why I'm sharing them with you, because they have worked so well for us that we keep using them and reusing them. So anyway, now the reason that Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons can be a bit tedious is because the lessons are scripted. If you take notice, everything that is in red is what the parent is supposed to say. And if you read at the very beginning of the book, the parent's guide, it will tell you that you should do everything exactly as it tells you to in this book. And I'm not going to deny that their methods, they work, but it tends to be really monotonous after you do them over and over and over again. So while I do tend to stick a lot with what they tell you to do, I don't do it exactly like they say that you should, especially towards the middle or towards the end when your kids are really starting to get the grasp of reading. But before I even get to how I do that, let me just tell you one thing. Now, it says in 100 easy lessons in 20 minutes a day. But that does not mean that you have to do it every single day, because that's another one of those things. If you do this every single day, it can get boring, not only for the kids, but for parents as well. So what my children and I have been doing now for a few years is we have actually been alternating Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons one day and doing a phonics book the next day. And it really helps to give some variety to your kids' reading experience. In this book, in Teach Your Child to Read, they're really focusing a lot on the phonetics and stringing sounds together. And the phonics books, they really do review and they go over those sounds, but they also teach kids a lot about writing, how words look, how words are spelled. So they do give children more experience in the writing area than Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons does. So that has been a huge help for us, is alternating it. We do not do this every day. We do Teach Your Child to Read one day, phonics the next. Teach Your Child to Read, phonics the next. And it really, really does help us. Now getting back to these, the red scripted words. Now, a lot of times in the beginning, it really does help to stay strictly to what they say, because when kids aren't really sure about themselves when it comes to sounding out words, or sometimes they might not even know their letter sounds yet, what the book tells you to say really does help kids to pick things up easier. But what I found with my children, as time goes on and they are starting to read more and more fluently, it can get repetitive. For example, it will tell you in the sounds review, Okay, I'm going to just show you this here, and I'm going to read to you what the parent should say. You're going to say all these sounds. Get ready, and then you point to one letter and you slide it down and they have to say the letter. And then you go to the next letter and you say, get ready, and you slide your finger down the line. Get ready, and you keep doing this for all the sounds that they're supposed to say. And that helps for children who are first starting to get what these sounds say. For children who already know these sounds really well, it can be rather tedious to have to keep saying, get ready, get ready, get ready, over and over and over again. You don't need to do it. So all I say to them is, say these sounds to me. I move my finger down and they say all the sounds. So really, you do not have to follow the script the entire way through the book. Another part that does tend to get a little bit tedious for my kids is the rhyming section. Right here. So it says, these are the sounds you're going to rhyme with, and then they'll say you're going to rhyme with at. And then you're supposed to say, what are you going to rhyme with? And then they say at. And then you say, rhyming with at. And then they're supposed to say mat. And again, that helps with children who are just starting to do that. But when kids are really getting used to doing this rhyming aspect, you don't need to keep repeating to them, you're going to rhyme with at. What are you going to rhyme with? At. You don't need to do that. All I do is say, okay, we're going to rhyme with at here, so what would this be? And then they say mat, and I just go right back down here and say sat. So you really have to be able to gauge this by what your children are able to do. Another thing that I've noticed is that a lot of these lessons tell you to repeat. It does that with the lessons where they want you to say a word slowly, and then they want your child to say it quick. So for example, you say to your child, say run, and then they have to say it just like that, and then the parent says, say it fast, and then they have to say run. And there's a whole list of words that they have to do with that. If your kids really enjoy that, by all means, repeat it as the book tells you to. My kids, though, they just want to fly through that part. They don't like that part. So we do it once. There's no need to repeat. And, you know, this book is like all homeschool curriculum or teacher's manuals. You have to fit it to work with your family. Not everyone is the same. Some people love having it scripted and doing it exactly as it says. But if your kids and you don't like that, it's okay if you do change it a little bit. Now, as I said earlier, though, I really do try to keep it as close to this as possible because it really is written well. But you have to do a little bit of give and take when it comes to this curriculum. And the only other advice that I really have when it comes to using this book in your homeschool is that, especially with younger kids, but it could actually be with any child, if it really looks like your child is getting bored through the lesson, say you're in lesson 5 and you're only halfway through and your child is not paying attention and is rushing around and is just not listening at all, it's okay to end the lesson there for the day. It's even okay to, especially with younger children, to decide to wait until they're a little bit older. That is actually what I'm doing with my 4-year-old. My 4-year-old was very gung-ho about learning how to read. And she, up until last week, was on the same lesson as her 6-year-old sister. But what I noticed with her is that while her 6-year-old sister is kind of cruising along, she isn't interested. You know, I'll be saying these things to her that she has to say. Like I'll say to her, say run, and I'll try to point to the word as she's doing it, but she's looking out the window or she's looking out in the dining room and she's just not interested right now. So not all kids are interested in learning how to read, especially with this book right away. If they're not, it's no failure on your part. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your child. It might just mean that you need to take, a month or even 6 months off of it and try again a little bit later when the child is a little bit more mature and maybe a little bit more ready to learn to read in that way. Now, that's not to say that my 4-year-old isn't going to pick up reading in other things that she does. I still work with her in other things, but when it comes to doing structured sitting lessons like this, sometimes they don't work too well with really young kids. So if you have any questions about Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons, just leave a comment. I know that it can seem like it might get boring for parents, but if you really, really learn how to tailor everything that you do with your kids, not just this book, but any curriculum that you use, once you learn to tailor it to meet your needs, anything, I mean it, anything really can fit what you need it to, or it can fill the purpose that you need it to fill. Getting tongue-tied. So it's time to go. So anyway, leave a comment if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great day.